Someone wrote to me that because of my music, they're still here, you know? Daughter is my original song about my transition from female to male and my dad's experience with that.
10 years ago, I cut my hair and I changed my name as people stared. And
I had a really big struggle with my dad when I came out. He wouldn't call me Ryan, wouldn't call me he. I was sent to conversion therapy, and it was just like a very hard time where I was very depressed from it and suicidal.
And I so did declare that this is who I am for anyone that cares.
I had this like argument with my dad. I expressed to him how hard it is to be trans. He didn't see it. You know, I was like hiding him to all the hard parts of my transition, like the bullying and wearing a binder every single day that I could like barely breathe. He didn't realize the pain. And slowly after that, he started like really accepting me as Ryan.
I didn't change who I am. I've always been a man.
My dad changed, you know, he respects me, he understands me. And I tell him, I understand you too, you know? I understand that you lost your daughter. And I'm telling him, Dad, like, I'm still here, I'm still the same person, and you didn't lose me, you never lost me.
I know that you accept me as your son, but that doesn't mean your daughter ever did run out.
I've heard from like dozens and dozens of young people. A lot of them said this is the first song that they've ever fully related to. And it means so much to me. Like, I can't even like express it into words, like how much that means to me.
I've always been a man. Still it changed your world.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hey.
Welcome back, everyone. We're about to kick off the last session of today's 2022 Trans Youth Forum. Let's get this party started.
Yes. Thank you all for joining us. It's been an exciting, informative day so far. Who's been with us the whole time? Shout out to all of you.
Remember that you can use the chat function to ask questions. The HiTOPS staff is moderating and will pass questions on to us. So let's get started.
Hey, everyone. I'm August. I use he, they pronouns, and I'm 17, and this is my second year on the HiTOPS Trans Youth Advisory Board.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Elle, and I use they, he pronouns, and I'm 19 years old, and this is my third year on the Youth Advisory Board.
Today, we have the honor of introducing the award-winning singer-songwriter, actor, performer, published writer, LGBTQ+ activist, and motivational speaker. That's a lot to say.
Featured on and in Grammy.com, Rolling Stone, Billboard, the New York Times, and tons of others, he has worked hard to advance his career, beginning at the age of 13.
With over 600 performances nationwide and internationally, and 7 original and critically acclaimed music albums, he is proud to be recognized as the first openly trans performer at the Vans Warped Tour. And HiTOPS is using his songs as our theme songs for this year's TYF.
Our chats were blowing up with excitement about the music. So here we have the artist himself. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, please welcome the amazing Ryan Cassata.
Welcome, Ryan. You cannot understand how excited we are to speak with you today.
Yes, August. We cannot wait to know more about your life, your music, and your activism.
All right. So growing up, getting right into it, what was your support system like?
Hey everyone, I'm excited to be here, and thank you, August and Elle. So my support system growing up, it was a little rocky at first. When I first came out, when I was 12 years old, my mom was sort of supportive with me being queer. My dad was not supportive. And then when I came out as trans about a year later, both my parents weren't supportive. And really the support that I had was from the LGBT center on Long Island, where I grew up. And also my school guidance counselor was really supportive, and the school social worker. So I had a pretty good support system, and my mom ended up becoming a really big advocate for me as well. And my brothers were extremely, extremely supportive of me. They would like guard the public restrooms when I was in there and stuff like that. So I would say I was pretty lucky with my support system.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love especially having supportive family. That just helps advance something on like a new level. And I don't know, a sibling bond is just
Exactly.
better
Siblings
sometimes.
that help you through that career transition, it definitely it's good.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
if you'd like, can you tell me more about your individual trans experience? How was yours different from the people around you, and did those differences affect your experience as a trans person?
Yeah, so I came out at a time where there wasn't many trans people out. Um I knew one other trans guy, and that from the LGBT center, and he was much older than me, and that was the only trans person I'd met in my entire life or ever even heard of. Because back then I would say these were like the stone ages of transitioning. There was no resources. There was like two websites that you could find information. There was like 6 YouTubers in the entire world. There was like no publications, there was nothing. There was really nothing. And especially for trans men. So when I came out, it was really difficult because I was having to explain myself to everyone. People didn't even know if you said trans, people thought you were talking about transportation, that no one knew the word transgender. So that was something that I had to explain a lot. And within the next few years, there was more people coming out. And definitely when I turned 18, which was like 5 years into my transition, people really expected me to go on testosterone and be on the male hormone testosterone, and I didn't want to do that. And that was how I guess my medical transition was really different. I got top surgery, but I didn't want to go on T, and there was a lot of pressure for that, and people were upset that I was like, they would say, how are you the poster boy for trans guys if you're not medically transitioning with T? So there's a lot of pressure from within the community as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
That's
that's just like an experience, especially coming out like as anything kind of new at any time. If you have like a new idea, a lot of times people don't like it. But something like this is the fact that like feel kind of alone in it. There's not a lot of media representation gets a lot of teenagers through everything. And like I mean it helped me get through everything for sure. But
fine.
yeah. So I'm glad there's like more media now, and not even just media, like good quality media.
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you mean. Um, how do you cope now or before, whenever, with being misgendered or even dead named by people who knew you before your transition?
Sure. Well, I would say when I first came out, I was very bothered by being misgendered and dead named, especially when people would do it to be malicious. And a lot of that was like my extended family, unfortunately. And honestly, some of them still do it even a decade and more later. So now I'm just like, hey, I don't even need y'all in my life. But it doesn't bother me the way that it used to bother me. And I share that because there was so much I had so much stress and shame and discomfort when I was younger, and now I'm at a place where I'm a lot more comfortable with myself, and a lot of that just is time being out, being out and being comfortable with who I am. And I just want young people to know that, because things do get easier to deal with. So you won't always have this gigantic discomfort about being misgendered. And Yeah, I mean now when I get misgendered, if I'm gonna see the person again or interact with them a lot that day or something, I correct them. But other than that, like I don't really correct random people because it's a lot of energy and it's like, I could give my energy to things like this instead.
Yeah.
That's that no, that's really cool. I really like that energy and that vibe that you give there.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think in public, especially when random people misgender you and everything, there's really not a lot that you can do besides correct them if you want. But I feel like also like correcting them may make you feel like that's just even more attention, like putting more energy into that. And it's like even if it's not malicious, it's easier to just kind of like get over it, move past it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So describe what the Harvey Milk Memorial Award is. How did you end up becoming the first person to receive this award?
Sure. Yeah, I could talk about this for like a really long time, but to be as brief as possible, because I know we're on a clock here. Yeah, when I was in high school, there were no one was out. After I came out, two other trans people did come out like a year later, but I was really the first one out in my high school. And Harvey Milk graduated from my high school, who was a congressman in San Francisco and was openly gay. And he graduated from my high school in Long Island, Bayshore High School. So when I was in high school, there was a lot of things where I wasn't allowed to do this and I wasn't allowed to do that. And like, I wasn't allowed to use the public bathroom and I wasn't allowed to have my name in the yearbook as Ryan. So these are all things that I had to petition my school and really fight nonviolently for my rights to exist and be able to go to school. I think a lot of people don't realize, and this is still happening today. This is happening in Texas and in Florida, where you like you can't really be yourself at school. So how do you go to school, right? Like being able to go to school and be educated is a privilege, and it's hard when you're trans. So I had to fight for my right to exist, and through all of that, I did make a lot of changes in my high school that still remain in effect today. I still go back there about once a year to talk to them. And I won the first ever Harvey Milk Memorial Award for my activism in my community.
That's
That's
extremely inspirational. That's awesome that you can do that for your school and have that really stick with it. Um, how did you, when you first started to become famous, how did you cope with it and how did it affect you?
Yeah, I mean it was definitely hard in the beginning. Like I was in like some magazines and things like that when I was 13, but when I was 15 and I went on the Larry King live show, and that was the first time I was on international television, that changed my life overnight. People started to treat me differently. In school, my friends, suddenly people wanted to hang out with me and not for the right reasons. Like people didn't want to hang out with me before I was on TV, but now suddenly people wanted to hang out with me. So my life became trying to figure out who was like a true friend or not. So that was one really hard thing about it. The good thing about it though was when I did go on the Larry King live show, I went on that show. It was like my basically my message in a bottle to the world. Like I was throwing out this message um by being out on international television because I didn't know anyone else my age that was trans. And when I went on that show, I was like, maybe I'll find one other person in this entire world that I relate to, that relates to me, right? And when I went on the show, after it aired, I got hundreds and hundreds of letters to my P.O. box from trans people all over the world of all ages. And I realized, I'm not alone and they're not alone. And all these letters were saying, I thought I was alone until I saw you. And the power of that was so great for me. And it really, I mean, I knew my purpose here in this world when I was 15 because of that. So I feel really grateful for that opportunity, because that connected a lot of people. And after that, we got to have a trans meetup for youth in New York City, and people came from all over the tri-state area. And this is in like 2010 or before. And we had like 50 people show up. And, it's like all of a sudden people are connecting and young people are connecting. It was harder. It was definitely harder for young people. There was like a trans party that was for like 21 and up, but like none of us could go to that. So it was important for trans youth to be able to find each other and have a place and have community.
That must have felt really empowering for you and them to actually be part of that community that you felt didn't exist.
Yeah, very.
So, actually, in the chat, Isaiah Standard, our last speaker from the last session, says that Ryan made things easier for younger trans people. I remember seeing his video from BuzzFeed when I was younger and still figuring things out. And so, on the topic of that, I'd like to ask you, how do you think your fame impacts and inspires others? And what is the message that you aim to convey?
Yeah, that's a very amazing question. Well, when I was growing up, when I was a young trans person, I went on YouTube and I found a singer-songwriter named Joe Stevens. And he played acoustic guitar and he sang, and he was out as trans, and he was in a band that toured with the Indigo Girls, who's a pretty popular queer band. And I saw him and I was like, okay, like I'm okay. Like there's this person, and it's okay. He's like 10 years older than me, but he's able to play music and do his dream, even though he's trans. And that visibility, and that's really, I mean, him and a few other trans guys, that's all I saw for like 5 years, that was the only media, and it was all on YouTube, and it was all very underground. I mean, less than like 500 views on each video, so nothing major, but that impacted me so greatly. I mean, every time I made friends with Joe Stevens through the community when we became aware of each other. And I mean, every time I see him, I always just tell him how grateful I am for his impact on me, because if he didn't exist, I wouldn't be able to exist, and that's how like paths get paved, and people have told me that I'm doing that for them. And one of the more recent times that I saw Joe, he said, I'm passing the torch to you, buddy. And that made me feel like really good. But these guys were my lighthouse, Joe Stevens, Rocco, and Amos from Original Plumbing. And they've acknowledged, like, now I'm a lighthouse to other people. And that's how it is, when you come out and there's not many people out, you get to be that for someone else. And I realized that young, and I realized, like, I want to be the best version of myself and work on myself so that I could show people that, like, hey, they can have all of this too, and that's helped me a lot in a lot of ways. I mean, I've been sober for 8 years now. I had a drug addiction when I was younger, and part of the reason that I got sober, like a big part of the reason, is because of the people looking up to me. Like I knew if they're like following me, they might want to do destructive things like that too. And I wanted to show, like, hey, you don't have to do that. You are worth more than that. So that's been part of carrying the torch, is treating myself with respect, in hopes that other people see that and will treat themselves with respect too, because y'all deserve that. Y'all deserve to love yourselves, and you deserve to know that you're worth it 100%.
You just spread such a good genuine message. And like, it makes me happy to know that, like, I don't know, I know a lot of people that I can say your name to and other high top speakers' names to. I know I can give them the high tops Instagram anytime. It just warms my heart that there are people like you in this world to like make that happen. And it's a really good message.
Thank you.
I agree with that. When did you start to explore your talent for singing, and was there someone specifically supportive of your musical journey?
Yeah, so I started playing guitar when I was 6 years old. I begged for a guitar from my mom, and she was able to get me a guitar and lessons. And my mom was really my first supporter, and she has been my biggest supporter my entire life, and probably like always will be. And I had a piano teacher and a guitar teacher, so I had a lot of support in my corner, and a lot of people wanted to play music with me, so I was very blessed for that as well. I started singing when I was like 12 years old, but I wasn't any good at it at all. It took a lot of practice. It was not something that came naturally to me at all. Neither was guitar. Like I was terrible at guitar for 10 years, and I kept trying and trying and trying. And now like I know I'm good at guitar now, but it took a really long time and it didn't come naturally. So to anyone that wants to play, like just don't give up and keep trying.
That yeah, that sounds really nice. And I feel like it's always important to start those journeys early. Not important, but it helps more
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, but yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Um, Moving on to your acting career. Two Eyes is a 2020 movie that you starred in playing a transgender teenager named Jalen.
Mm-hmm.
So what connection did you feel to the role you played and what inspired you to take it?
Yeah. So well, Travis, the director of the movie, and the movie will probably come out sometimes this year, next year, to everybody. But he wrote me a letter. I actually have the letter hanging right here above me because it was so inspirational. And they were looking a long time to find the character of Jalen, and they auditioned a lot of people and they couldn't find someone to play this character that fit who Jalen was. And Travis found me on Google and saw that my story was so similar, in a lot of ways, of being, coming out young and struggling with parents and struggling with uh, my partner's parents at the time, things like that. And yeah, when he found me, he wrote me this letter and he sent me the script, and I said yes right away. It felt like something just magical was happening, and that whole like film shoot was like super magical as well. So I'm excited for y'all to see it soon.
I'm excited
So
to see it.
excited.
That sounds so fun. Especially like a little off topic, but I love seeing queer people on screen and everything because even a couple years ago, there was nowhere near as much as representation as like in the media there is now. And even now, we still need to work on that. But it's like seeing people up there that were like me, that were like older than me, that, oh my God, you guys made it through this. You guys made it through these struggles. And sure, you're still continuing your journey, but it's like, it's such an inspiration to especially younger queer youth and everything. Um,
Thank you.
where will we be, of course, where will we be able to see Two Eyes when it comes out?
Yeah. Well, Travis actually said that I could set up a screening for any organizations that I want. So I could get y'all a link and we could all watch it together someday soon
Yes, please. That sounds
before it
amazing.
comes out. So yeah.
I
So we'll we'll,
so
we'll,
I
we'll
think
set that up.
yeah, the high tops teen is like freaking out in the chat right now. I just want you guys to know that.
Rita, how come I can't see the chat?
The Oh, it's on the dock.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
But cool, I'm excited.
Oh,
we're
it's cool.
excited too.
You also wrote a song for that movie, You and Me, Babe. It's such a beautiful love song. Where does the inspiration come from?
Yeah, all the inspiration for my music is really just from my real life experiences and experiences that I've had or seen people close to me have. And that movie just fit that. The movie, well, I sent the song to Travis, the director, and he said that song fit perfectly. And it really became the song about Jolene and Ceylon in the movie. And it opens the movie, so you'll get to see that.
Awesome.
So we showed a clip in the beginning of the interview about your song called Daughter. It is such a personal story for you. Did you feel some hesitation as to how the world would like accept it?
Definitely. So I wrote that song in 2017 and I held on to it for a while and I didn't want to really show anyone besides my dad. And my dad cried the first time he heard it. It was like emotional for us both. And I was like, I don't know how people react to this. And it was a struggle for me, like deciding like should I put this out? And then I realized like, you know what, I should put this out. And if this is what ends my career because people are so angry that I said, Dad, I'll always stay your little girl, because they don't understand, then that's it. But I feel like, you know what, I have to put this song out. And the night before the song came out, I was so nervous. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna like be canceled because of this. And it was the exact opposite reaction. I mean, there was a few people that were not cool with it, but they were the odd ones out, really. Like the love came pouring in from trans people, from their parents, their families. I still get messages almost every single day about the song, about how it's gotten families back together, really. And that's like amazing. And that's, you know, that's the power of music. And that song took me 5 minutes to write. I wrote it so quick, like it just came to me. And I didn't even make any changes. Like it's exactly the lyrics that I wrote. I didn't write any other lyrics. That's it. That's all I wrote. And it's been my most successful song. It's almost at 2 million views on YouTube and almost 2 million on Spotify. And it's been one of the biggest blessings in my life, not because of the numbers or the stats or whatever, but because of how it's impacted other people and connected people. And I mean, if I do nothing else good in my life, I feel like with that, I've done enough because of course I'll keep doing more, but I feel like I've done enough because it's helped so many young people and their families.
So that is just okay, sorry. You just really like sparked something in me just now. Um I had a conversation with my cousin when I first came out. Um and I'm sure she literally doesn't remember this. It was my cousin and her wife. We were all sitting down and she was like, "Listen, I don't understand any of this. I don't understand anything, but I want to support you because you supported me through
Mm,
everything." And like I because I had like previous problems with like my family not understanding, but not ready like to understand. Um,
mm.
so like I that's such a good way to like articulate your way of feeling, and that's just a really gorgeous thing to do and to help other people too. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you.
Um, and from the audience, no question, just tell Ryan we love him.
Aw, thank you. I love you guys too.
There's another audience question being written right now, but I will start saying. Um, One person asked, how much time should we give family? I know my mom is trying, but she still says things that really hurt me, like calling me by my dead name or saying it's just going to take time, even though it feels like it's been forever.
Yeah, so we have to remember that this is a transition, not just for us, but it's also transitioned for all of the people around us. And of course, like our transition is harder. We're the ones going through it, but it's also affecting the other people around us. And it's hard to switch names and pronouns, and it takes practice. And My mom said like I had a lot of patience with my family, with them calling me the right name and pronouns, and that actually helped them to be more respectful. Like if I was answering respectfully, saying, "No, please call me Ryan," instead of my birthday, and please just call me he, him. This is what it's hurting me, instead of like yelling back or something like that. That actually helped them to come around quicker. It took my mom a year to call me the right name and pronouns, and it took my dad 4 years. So it takes time. But I showed my parents YouTube videos of trans people being successful. I showed my parents like my pain. They had to see me struggling with wearing that binder every day. They had to know my dad did not accept me until he understood what I was going through on a daily basis. So I had to really open up to my parents, and that helped a lot. Like I had to explain to my dad like what wearing the binder was like, and that I couldn't shower with my eyes open, and that I changed like 5 times before school because I couldn't find an outfit that would make me not dysphoric. Like my parents had to understand those things to be able to accept me quicker. Um, Also going to gender therapy or counseling with your parents could help as well. But just it's hard. It's really hard for parents, but I believe that they can come around if they're willing. So I hope they come around before you turn 18, because when you're 18, you can just leave.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I don't know, I just find your story so inspirational, and the fact that even like with the lack of support that you had at home, but still the amount of patience that you had with those people that were lacking. And it's good, and now it's like they understand, and they not only accept you but love you for who you are. And I think it's important that other people keep that in mind too, that it's like wherever you are in your journey, like you will be loved. um Somebody just got a text from a parent who's watching and said that, Ryan, your answer really just opened their eyes to what helps people transition to. So that's
I'm
pretty.
so glad to hear that.
Says, tell him I said thank you.
Oh, that's so cute. I love parents. Be
I
good
also love
parents.
parents. I love parents. Exactly. When they're being parents, I love them.
Yeah.
I love when parents want to learn. Sorry.
No, so true. So true.
My
Um,
mom had a reaction like that at the first forum she went to. So
aw,
it was like,
Hmm.
it's lovely to see people come around.
right.
Um, Ryan, you said art helps you heal. Can you elaborate on that and how writing, singing, and acting has helped you through your journey?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, art is a positive and healthy way to express yourself, to let out your emotions, and it's constructive instead of um destruction, and we should lean into those things. And music is really what has saved my life, like countless times playing music, hearing other people's songs. Like there's songs that I've heard when I was growing up that have had an impact on me, like Daughter has had on other people. So like I understand the power of music. And if you don't play music or sing or anything like that, I encourage you to blast some music and shout to it and dance around, because it does help your brain form some like positive wiring. So I suggest doing that. I still do it. But that's important. And like my songs have allowed me to express myself. It's really, my songs are my journal. Like I write about my real life, like the stuff I'm singing in my songs, like it's all real. I don't really like make up any stories or anything like that. So it's my journal that I have put on display to the entire world. And part of that is scary, but it's also so freeing and so empowering. So I encourage you to, if you don't want to release it to the world, that's totally fine, but write poetry and journal and paint and just pick up some kind of art, because it is so empowering and positive and healthy for you, and it will help you cope. And it is I think is the best coping mechanism that I have.
Art is healing.
Mhm.
Yes. Oh, that's such a good conversation. Art, art. Okay. Uh, I would talk about art for 10 years if we didn't have so little time left. In terms of advocacy, we wanted to talk about your activism. You have made a career out of being true to yourself and in turn helping others find that same sentiment.
Oh, sorry. When did you discover your passion for activism and motivational speaking?
Yeah, I mean, I really discovered that when I was on the Larry King live show at 15 and realized like, hey, this awareness and visibility helps other people. And that's when I realized like this is what I want to do.
Yeah. What inspired you to keep going with that and follow it?
What inspires me to keep going is like all of you, honestly, like really hearing the impact and also just like seeing, I mean, things have changed so much. I mean, when I was younger and I was among other trans youth and queer youth, we did not have the confidence that y'all have. Like, we were very depressed and we could not express ourselves. And it was so like, it was just dark. To be able to, you know, show up smiling and, you know, y'all are smiling and laughing and expressing yourselves and you both of you who I see on the screen, August and Elle, you seem so authentic and you seem like you know yourselves, and that's empowering for me to see. It gives me hope that like things are getting better. You two are proof that things are actually getting better, that you get to be yourselves. And it's for me, that's so inspiring to see. And I see it at my high school. Every year I go back, like I see more people out and more people getting to dress the way they want and use the pronouns that they want. Like things are really changing, and that inspires me to keep going because I see that the changes that myself and other activists are making are they have effect and things are getting better. And the more that we keep spreading awareness, the more people get to be themselves and be free. And, you know, that's really what it's about. And it's all about self-love and empowerment and community building, really.
I just hope you can understand that you paved the way for this. Like you helped contribute to like this and like this attitude that we have. And your high school, obviously, you keep going back and you see like improvement. That's also you have an effect on that. People know about you, hear your story, and people that advocate for themselves and younger trans people and teach them how to be an advocate. That is like what affects everything. You change the entire world by just speaking your truth.
Thank you.
So, what was your favorite audience to speak with so far?
Um, in my life, or
I mean, yeah, like, okay, the thing you would dream about doing again, like, you relive that night and just like want that thrill back.
yeah, I mean, my favorite is always speaking to youth and going into the high schools and speaking to GSAs and um just seeing what it's like now, you know, and seeing that difference, like just what I'm talking about in the question before. You know, it's different. You know, I sometimes speak to like an entire school and it's mostly cis straight people. It's different getting to speak to LGBT youth, and that's why like with my shows that I play, I try to be as accessible as possible. I try to make like most of my shows, if not all ages. Ticket price is very low or free, or do it at LGBT centers because and I run my own merch table. I stay on the floor. Like I don't like hang out backstage. I want to be able to talk to people and form those bonds and connections with people because that was important for me growing up. So Yeah, I mean, just any chance I have to connect with people, I take it. Doesn't matter if it's one person or 10,000 people. Like, I'd rather it be like a small group because then I get to know y'all too. So,
Yeah.
I think that's really admirable and everything because personally, I've been to a couple concerts and I haven't come within 100 feet of any of them. So to know that it's like you're coming down, talking to your audience, to your fans and everything, like that has to mean so much to them. So much to see like your idol like, right there, not just on a stage with you in the audience where they can't see you, but it's like they're seeing you, they're talking to you, they're hearing you, and that's just gotta be great. Um, going on, uh, you were recognized as the youngest keynote speaker at the Philadelphia Trans Wellness Conference.
And our Trans Youth Advisory Board spoke at that conference last year, and it
that's
was
amazing.
quite an honor. How can people follow in your footsteps and learn to advocate for themselves and others? What are some things that you suggest to young advocates,
Yeah,
activists? Sorry.
that that convention really that actually changed my path a lot because that is when I was still a teenager and I realized at that point like I need to learn a lot more. I need to be more educated and that's when I realized that and so for activists now I suggest reading as much as you can, talking to other activists as much as you can, watch as many like YouTube videos, hear as many stories as you possibly can. My story is not the only story, you know, there's thousands and thousands more and it's important to really know as many as you can and see how many different ways there are of being trans and also like just connecting with community. Like we need to hear stories from every generation. We need to hear stories from every different background. You know, there's so many different intersections of being trans and we need to learn about all of that. So learn as much as you can. Right now I'm in graduate school and I'm studying theology and I'm also studying social justice and I'm learning heavily about the civil rights movement and that's really important for all of us to know, like take a really deep dive into that because you know a lot of that is what we can use now to help our activism and take inspiration from that. And also we need to know history to make history.
Definitely, that just gave me chills. um, we have a question from the audience actually. Earlier in the interview, when we were talking about your transition, you mentioned that you didn't go on T. Would you mind talking about that and maybe offer some insight as to why?
Yeah, so I did want to go on T when I was younger, and then my parents told me I had to wait till I was 18. So I waited and I got my top surgery first because that was really a major issue for me. But by the time I was 18, I realized like I don't really want to go on T. Like I already have a career now, and I didn't want to go through like vocal training and all of that because your voice changes on T, so my singing would change. And so I kind of just made the decision that way. And it's not uh like a concrete decision. I could change it at any point that I want. But for the last 10 years, I just haven't gone on T. So
Mhm. Oh, L, you're muted.
Sorry, yeah, there was a motorcycle driving by my house earlier and I didn't want to keep that going. Uh, what are things from your journey that you take pride in?
things from my journey that I take pride in, really helping other people, hearing feedback from other people has been the greatest thing so far. Also, I love making music and that other people listen to it. You know, that's a real blessing. Um, I won an award for my songwriting in the end of 2019. That was probably the biggest award I ever won, and that was an ASCAP award for my song Jupiter, which is about addiction. So make sure you go check that out. And probably, yeah, I mean, I've been now at this point, I've been recognized by Congress and by different cities in California. And it's a blessing that my activism has been recognized. and just hearing that I've helped other people is just, you know, something I really take pride in, and it just makes me keep going.
100%. Um, sorry. Somebody from the audience wants to know where you live, obviously not like an address, but a place that you're based in, and what college you went.
Yeah, I live in Los Angeles, California, and I go to Pacific School of Religion, which is in Berkeley, California, but I go on Zoom.
Oh, cool. How has the virtual college been going?
It's been good. I've got to meet a lot of my classmates too, so it's been cool.
Oh, good. There's still
Yeah.
socialization. That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
There's another audience question. Al, you want to take that? This one.
One sec. Here. Okay. So you mentioned conversion therapy. How old were you when that happened?
I think I was 14 or 15, and I walked out actually. I went in for like 20 minutes and I walked out, and yeah, I mean, now I've done some activism work around that as well to help get that taken away. But of course, that's still happening in a lot of places. So it's definitely something that we all need to fight against, really.
Yeah, it's insane that that's still happening.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, as I don't even know, I could talk forever about that as well. How has your career changed you, and do you have any regrets or things that you wish you did differently?
Sure, yeah. My career definitely, I mean, being in the spotlight since I was a teenager has definitely shaped who I am in a lot of ways. And I've definitely had to grow up quicker than most people because of it. But it's shaped me in good ways and bad ways. And things I wish I did differently is I wish I was more educated when I was younger, really. And I wasn't, and I wish that I was. So learn as much as you possibly can.
I Yeah, that's a really good point to make, and I really enjoy that outlook. I think it's I know I keep calling you inspirational, but it really is.
Thank you.
Sorry to keep repeating the same word over and over, but
No,
uh,
I 100% agree. You're so inspirational.
Thank you.
the next question that I'm going to ask is a question that I tend to, when I'm speaking to people that I look up to or see inspiring qualities, and I like tend to ask this: is there anything that you wish the younger version of yourself could hear today?
Yeah, I wish the younger version of myself, I wish I knew that things were gonna actually work out. I wish I knew that I wouldn't always feel the way I felt, so like depressed and sad and hopeless, because now, I mean, now life is so good. I want to live forever, you know, and I never thought I would say that when I was younger. So many things have changed in positive ways, and life is so big. And when you're young, you really don't realize that. Like when I was a teenager, it felt like there was nowhere to go, you know, and now there's everywhere to go. So things get a lot better. You get more comfortable with yourself and with the people around you, and you form connections and build community, and um you know, things get a lot better. And I wish I knew that when I was younger.
Oh, that is that is so cool. Like I wish I could like flash back and be like, hey, little L,
Mhm.
listen to this. Uh, and from the audience, someone says, I'm in seminary studying theology too. What's your relationship with God like, and how does your transness affect that relationship?
Yeah, I would consider myself a spiritual person, and at first that was hard because I'm queer and trans, so I didn't really accept that about myself. But eventually I realized, like, if you want to believe in God or have a higher power, it just has to be of your own understanding. And God is love, like, or higher power is love, and whatever that means for you, like, if you want to have that in your life, you can and you should. If you want to, it's open to you and it's available to you because you are queer and trans. And I wish that person well on their journey as well.
Church was like one of the most important parts like of my life, especially my senior year. Still is now. I'm trying to be better about it and start picking up more. I've been slacking a
Mm.
little recently because of class, but I always felt like I had a safe space to go. And I like sometimes, but I also didn't meet a lot of queer people in the church because I lived in more of like a country farm town-esque kind of vibe. So
Mm.
even though they were accepting sometimes, they just weren't like relating. But then I came to college and that changed everything.
Yeah.
I um I met so many people that I relate to in that sense that I get to talk to when I'm feeling like when I'm like maybe little nervous about religion or like anything like that. I could just talk about my spirituality and what I believe and feel and
That's awesome. See, things change.
things change.
Things change
Mhm.
100%. Um, so wanted to thank you for that. It's very important for people to hear about spirituality and queerness and how they can go hand in hand. They don't have to really like clash all the time. Um, what are some exciting things that we can look forward to uh, concerning your career?
Sure. I'm gonna have some new music out actually next week. So look out for that. And if you have Spotify, make sure you subscribe to me on Spotify and YouTube so you don't miss it. You could also follow me on Instagram at Ryan Cassata and keep up with me that way as well. But I should be going on tour a bunch this year as well. And I do see that people are asking if I could come speak at their school, high school, college, LGBT center, local LGBT center, whatever. And I totally can come speak and or perform. You can send me an email that I can forward to my manager so we could try to get me there. And it's just ryancassata@gmail.com. So I'd love to visit as many places as possible and talk to as many people as possible.
I will
That's so
definitely
cool.
be getting in contact with your manager. Um,
And
I, for
anywhere in
one,
the
know
country.
30 high schools that could use some help.
literally, like I know at least 5 states that can use your expertise. Um, an audience member had a question. They asked, "Can you give us a hint or a taste of that upcoming music?"
Oh, of the upcoming music. Um, well, it has some curse words in it, so maybe I
All right.
should just wait.
Yeah, that's all right. Everybody, be sure to check him out. Music is coming out when, Ryan?
Yeah, new music's coming out April 4th.
All right, April 4th. Save the date. Do it. Would you ever consider performing at a high school in random Utah or any
Yeah.
other Western state?
Yeah, anywhere, totally.
Word, awesome.
Just send me an
Um,
email.
sorry. Yeah, for sure. Audience said any interest in putting together an all trans band?
I did have one in New York and it was pretty cool. Now here in LA I have my band and everyone is cis in my band, but besides me, obviously. But it's been a great experience working with them. So
Awesome.
All right. And lastly, how can we keep updated with everything you're doing? Like you said, Instagram, right?
yeah,
Is a
so
good
find me on
option.
Instagram for sure. And then there's also it's an app called Bands in Town and it's completely free. So if you subscribe to me on Bands in Town, it will send you a notification when I'm doing a show in your city.
That was such a cool app. I have that on my phone.
Yeah, I
I
love it.
didn't know that existed, and I'm
It's
mad that I didn't. But awesome. Thank you for that. Um, Ryan, thank you so much for talking to us. It has been an honor and truly inspirational. as I'm sure it has been for many of the other audience members.
Thank you.
Also-
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone watching at home, and thank you to all of our amazing sponsors.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, Ryan, if there is one last piece of advice that you would give trans youth that feel alone or feel like they don't have a great support system, almost as if you were talking to yourself, but on a
Yeah.
broader scale.
Yeah, I would say hang on. It's going to get better, and be your authentic self. Don't let anyone tell you who you are. You know who you are best of all, more than anyone else in the entire world. Trust yourself and stay true, stay you.
Period.
That's so good.
That is really, I wish I, as a younger August, heard that because I feel like as a young trans person, everybody is trying to tell you who you are. And nobody's really telling you, hey, listen to yourself. Like, I don't know. I feel like at the beginning of my transition, everybody was asking, are you sure? Thing is, you don't have to be sure. You don't. This is you. Like, it's just you, you know? And I don't know. I feel like that's important to hear, especially from older celebrities like yourself, of course. um, anything else? Any last question, comments, concerns?
It's it's so good to like see you guys and like see everyone. I love the Trans Youth Forum. I'm so pro Trans Youth Forum, and this is just a great interview, and this is just gonna stick out in my brain. I'm so excited. All right.
Y'all, it has been such an amazing interview. As Elle said, you have been such a great audience. Spaces like this give us somewhere to go, to connect, to make our voices heard, especially during these times of emotionally challenging pandemics.
All right. We appreciate having the opportunity to connect to such a strong, supportive community. And with that being said, please stick around because we're holding our raffle right now with some of our favorite HiTOPS staff that helped us make today happen.
Yes.
We'd also like to welcome back any fellow trans youth advisory members who'd like to join us on screen for our finale celebration.
All right. Bye. Have a
Bye.
good day.
Bye, everyone.